Welcome back to another episode. Today I'm gonna review the NEC Turbo Express handheld system, and let's go!
I wanna play video games. I wanna play them all day. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, first of all, what is the Turbo Express? The Turbo Express is a portable version of the TurboGrafx 16 video game system. And the TurboGrafx 16 is the North American version of the PC Engine. And for those of you who don't know about the PC Engine or the TurboGrafx 16, the PC Engine was developed by a company called NEC Corporation and the video game developer Hudson-Soft. It was released in 1987 in Japan to compete with the Nintendo Entertainment System. The PC Engine was a huge success, and they also wanted to release the system in North America. And 2 years later, in 1989, they released the PC Engine in the United States. They renamed the system to TurboGrafx 16, they changed the look, and they changed some minor things inside the system. But the console didn't sell that well in the United States because now it had to compete with the Sega Genesis and later on with the Super Nintendo. And you could actually say that it got lost between those both systems. Okay, that's enough for the background story. For now, I'm gonna talk about the PC Engine systems and TurboGrafx 16 systems in another video in more detail. But let's come back to the Turbo Express. It was released in 1990 in North America and also in Japan, but over there it was called the PC Engine GT. Both systems are technically identical. The only difference is that with the Turbo Express you can only play TurboGrafx 16 hook card games, and with the PC Engine GT you can only play PC Engine hook card games, except you have a converter. Now, the system had a retail price of $249, and that in the year 1990. With inflation today it would be around $400. And some stores thought that the system would sell that well that they actually raised the price to $299. But they soon dropped the price back to $249 because the system didn't sell that well at all. And later on it was dropped to $199. Still expensive, but yeah. What made this system so expensive was the hardware inside. The Turbo Express is a very powerful 8-bit system, including 16-bit technology. And as far as I know, it is even more advanced than the Atari Lynx at that time. But on the other hand, the Atari Lynx had the hardware scoring for the Pseudo 3D graphics, so I'm not 100% sure, but maybe you could actually say that both systems were equal in some kind of way. And yeah, the other thing was the screen. The Turbo Express and also the PC Engine GT has a 2.6-inch color backlight active matrix LCD screen with a resolution of 400 by 270. And most of the handheld systems had a passive matrix LCD screen, and the difference between an active and a passive matrix LCD screen is that the active matrix LCD screen has better colors, sharper graphics, and no blurring or ghosting at all. Like for instance, the Sega Game Gear had a passive matrix LCD screen, and yeah, as we know, it has a lot of blurring and ghosting when there's a lot going on in the game. And yeah, those are the main reasons why the system was so expensive, and of course they also wanted to make some money with the system. Okay, but now let's take a closer look at the Turbo Express. Okay, let's start with a size comparing. And I put a Nintendo Game Boy side to the Turbo Express, and as you can see, the Turbo Express is a little bit bigger than a Nintendo Game Boy, and it's also a little bit thicker. Both have the same size screen, 2.6 inch,
next one is Sega Game Gear, and as you can see it's a little bit smaller than a Game Gear, but also again it's a little bit thicker. But it's not as big as an Atari Lynx, of course not, but again a little bit thicker. And just for fun, because I did it in my Atari Lynx review, I'm also gonna compare it to the PSP Slim. Okay, but now closer look at the system. Over here you have the D-pad and also the action button 1 and 2. Typical for a PC Engine controller or a TurboGrafx 16 controller are those rapid fire options for both action buttons. Only the first PC Engine controller didn't have this feature, but from the second release on, every PC Engine controller and TurboGrafx 16 controller had this feature. Something I think it is very cool. Then also a select and a run button. Over here you have the speaker. On the left side, this is the port for the AC adapter. This is the headphone jack, volume control, brightness control. On the bottom you have the COM port for the COM-Link cable to connect to Turbo Express or PC Engine GT together. On the right side you have the tuner in. This was for a TV tuner for the Turbo Express, and I don't have one, but in the end it's the same thing like the Sega Game Gear TV tuner. And yeah, like I said, I don't have one and I'm not gonna buy one anywhere in the future, because you can only pick up analog video signals, and since every TV channel changed from analog to digital, you can't get any signal of any TV station anymore, so there's basically no reason to buy one. And on the top you have the power button for the system, and on the back, of course, here's the cartridge slot, and the bottom here is the battery case. The system needs 6 AA batteries, and the system has a very weak battery runtime, because you can only play between 2 to a maximum of 3 hours with full batteries. So this is one really big issue on the system. And the system also has a couple of other issues. The second issue is the screen, and yeah, I already mentioned it's a very high advanced screen for 1990. But the first thing is that it can happen that those screens have dead pixels, and even when you bought them back in the days new, it could actually had a dead pixel right from the beginning. And my Game Boy Advanced SP, also the Game Boy Advanced SPs have an active matrix LCD screen, and even when I bought my Game Boy Advance SP new, it had a dead pixel. So this must be an issue of active matrix LCD screens. Another issue of the screen, you can actually say, is that the games were never meant to be played on such a small screen. So to read the text on the system can be very painful, especially if you play a text-heavy game on it, like a role-playing game or anything else that includes much text reading. Then also, this is not an issue but an information, is that only a handful of games actually had kind of a mode for the Turbo Express. I mentioned the COM-Link cable to the link cable to connect it to another Turbo Express, and one game was Falcon, which was a flight simulator, and when you played it against a human player, you would have the option to play a dogfight against a human player. So this was a little feature on one of the games, and as far as I know, only a handful of games had one of those features that you can use on the Turbo Express or the PC Engine GT. And another issue can be bad capacitors. Same thing like with the Sega Game Gear, that the sound will not work anymore, or it is very low, and also that the brightness goes bad and you can't turn up the brightness on the system. And yeah, the reason why this can happen is that the capacitors, they leak out or they dry out, and a lot of people will say that they used cheap capacitors back then to reduce production costs. And you know what, it can be right, but on the other hand, I mean, this wasn't an issue back then, this is an issue today. Those things are 20 years old. I mean, okay, good, my Atari 2600 works perfectly today, and also my Vectrex or whatever. But in the end, no company would ever give you a guarantee that those systems will work 20 years later. I mean, nobody, who knows what happens with a PSP when it's 20 years old, or a Nintendo DS or whatever. But yeah, okay, this can be one issue, and my Turbo Express has the sound issue that I already mentioned. When I turn on the system, you will hear some sound on the maximum level, but it's very low, except you put headphones in it. Then the sound is okay, and this is what I'm gonna be using later on when I show some gameplay of the games. And yeah, but let's continue with my review. I'm gonna show you now some of the games that I have for the TurboGrafx-16 and for the PC Engine. First one that I'm gonna show is Dragon Spirit, and this is one of the boxes that the TurboGrafx-16 games were sold in. Now I don't know if every TurboGrafx-16 game was sold in those boxes. I guess only a couple of games, because inside the box you have those CD cases, and I guess a lot of games were sold only in those CD cases. But inside you can see it's a little bit different than a CD case. Of course, you have the manual on the left side, and now this is one of the hook card games. This is a TurboGrafx-16 hook card, and it's about as big as a credit card. It's only a little bit thicker. And yeah, I really love those things. I don't know why. I think those are actually pretty cool. But yeah, this is one of the games that I'm gonna show you in a couple of minutes. Dragon Spirit, arcade classic. It's a shooter, a vertical scrolling shooter, and very nice, colorful graphics. This game was ported to so many systems, and yeah, a really great game. The next one that I'm gonna show is Splatterhouse, and Splatterhouse is a side-scrolling horror beat 'em up. This is a great classic, the Splatterhouse series, and yeah, also very cool, colorful graphics, and I really love the atmosphere in this game.